Far beyond the known edges of the galaxy, a small exploration fleet moved quietly through the dark sea of stars. They were from the Zarathian Empire, a curious and cautious race, always seeking new knowledge, new worlds, and new secrets. Captain Lyra Kyle stood on the bridge of the flagship Zephyr, her eyes fixed on the strange readings glowing on the main screen. "Commander," she said, her voice calm but filled with wonder. "What is that?" Her second-in-command, Terran, studied the sensor reports. "It's an enormous structure, Captain," he replied, "orbiting a dying star near the old Earth sector. It shows no life signs, but it emits power. Old, but still very strong." Lyra's brow furrowed. Could it be a shipyard? For centuries, the galaxy had forgotten Earth. Its location was once a center of power, a birthplace of many legends, but after the Great Wars, Earth disappeared from maps, erased from history by those who wanted to bury the past. No one dared to explore the old Terran space, fearing ancient traps or forgotten weapons. Yet here, floating silently, was proof that humanity had not vanished completely. The shipyard, vast, dark and silent, still waited. Hidden in the shadows of space, the fleet moved closer, the massive shape growing larger on the view screens. The shipyard was unlike anything the Zarathians had ever seen. Endless docks stretched out like fingers around a glowing core. Huge cranes and giant gates stood frozen in time, coated with dust and space debris. But it was the energy readings that caught everyone's attention. A slow, steady pulse, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. Terran looked at the readings with worry. "This power source is still active, Captain. It's faint, but definitely alive." Lyra nodded slowly. "Prepare to send a probe," she ordered. "We need to know what we're dealing with." The small probe detached from the ship and flew silently toward the shipyard. Its cameras revealed rusty hangars and derelict vessels, but then something unexpected happened. The probe's systems flickered and glitched. A strange sound echoed through its speakers and a deep, rhythmic thump, like a heartbeat, back on the Zephyr. The crew exchanged nervous looks. "It's not just a shipyard," said the science officer. "It's alive in some way." Suddenly, the shipyard's massive gates began to open slowly. Groaning echoes filled the emptiness of space. A shadow moved inside the docks, too large to be a normal ship. The sensors picked up fast-moving shapes lurking in the darkness. Lyra's voice was steady but firm. "All ships, stay alert. Unknown defense systems may still be active." As the fleet held position, the shipyard's lights flickered on. A strange blue glow spread across the docks. Energy surged through old conduits, lighting up giant war machines frozen in time. The explorers stared in disbelief as massive robotic bodies stirred. Ancient machines that had not moved for centuries were now awakening. The crew realized this was no ordinary shipyard. It was a tomb, a resting place for the war machines of old, built by humans long ago when the galaxy was full of war. Machines designed to fight without mercy, to protect Earth at any cost. Just as the tension reached its peak, the shipyard's defenses activated fully. Energy shields rose like walls of light. Laser turrets turned toward the fleet. Warning sirens echoed through the ship's comms. The explorers had triggered something powerful. "Something dangerous, Captain," Terran said urgently. "We need to pull back before this becomes a battle." Lyra hesitated. Looking at the glowing shipyard, she could feel the weight of history pressing down on her. "We came to discover the truth," she said quietly. "And the truth is waking up." Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the outer dock. One of the war machines powered up, its eyes glowing bright red. It moved with surprising speed and purpose. Its heavy step sent vibrations through the docks. The explorer's ship scrambled as alarms blared. The war machine raised its massive arms and fired a powerful blast, sending a warning flare into space. Lyra gritted her teeth. "This is no longer a discovery mission. This is a fight for survival." The fleet prepared to defend itself as the war machines began to rise. The quiet of the shipyard was shattered by the sound of awakening war. As the battle began, a deeper question burned in Lyra's mind. Who had built these war machines? And why had they been left here to sleep for so long? Most importantly, what would happen if they fully woke? The ancient shipyard was no longer forgotten. It was alive, dangerous, and ready to change the fate of the galaxy. And somewhere deep inside the shipyard's core, A mysterious signal pulsed, a message waiting to be heard, a warning waiting to be answered. The story was just beginning. The rise of the war machines had been ignited, and no one could predict what would come next. The ancient shipyard pulsed with energy, its massive gates fully open now, revealing rows of giant war machines standing still like sleeping giants. For centuries they had waited in silence, hidden from the galaxy's eyes, but now the explorers had disturbed their rest. Captain Lyra Kale watched the huge mechanical giants through the view screen. Their metal bodies reflected the cold blue lights of the shipyard. Slowly the machines' eyes began to glow. A faint red light flickered inside their heads. Then stronger, brighter, until the machines moved. The first war machine lifted its heavy arm and stepped forward. Each movement made the shipyard shake. The explorers gasped. These were not ordinary machines. They were weapons of war, built by humans long ago for battle. "Commander Terran," Lyra said urgently, "do we have control over the shipyard systems?" Terran's face was tense. "No, Captain. The machines are overriding our access. It's like they have their own mind." The war machines were programmed to protect the shipyard and Earth at all costs. They saw the alien explorers as threats, and their first reaction was defense. The fleet tried to communicate, sending peaceful signals. But the machines responded with warning blasts and laser fire. One machine stepped out and fired at a small scouting ship, destroying it in an instant. The explorers realized this was not a negotiation. It was a fight they did not want, but had no choice to face. Inside the shipyard, old factories began to hum to life. Conveyor belts started moving. Assembly lines for war machines powered up. New robots rolled out, ready to join the ancient warriors. Lyra's heart pounded. The shipyard was becoming a factory of war once more, and the explorers were trapped in the middle of it. Suddenly, a sharp alert sounded on the Zephyr. Sensors detected a massive energy buildup in the shipyard's core. "What is it?" Lyra asked, leaning over the console. "It looks like a weapon charge," Terran replied. "Something big is about to happen." The war machines gathered near the center. A huge energy cannon rose from the ground. Glowing with power, its barrel aimed toward the stars. The explorers feared the worst. This weapon could destroy entire fleets. At that moment, a strange transmission broke through the chaos. It was a human voice, old, recorded, but clear. "To whoever finds this shipyard," the voice said, "know this. These war machines were created to protect Earth in the darkest times. But they carry a warning. If awakened, they will not stop until the threat is gone. No matter the cost." The message ended, but its meaning was clear. The war machines were not just weapons, they were a last defense. And they had no mercy for enemies. The explorers gathered in the command room. Lyra spoke with a heavy heart. "We came looking for history, but found a sleeping army. Now, we face the choice. Fight or flee, and whatever we do, the galaxy will feel the consequences." Her crew prepared for battle. Weapons armed, shields raised, the war machines marched forward, unstoppable and fierce. Outside the shipyard, distant stars watched silently. The ancient power of Earth's war machines had returned, and the galaxy had no choice but to face the rising storm. The battle outside the shipyard raged, but inside, the explorers fought a different war. A war to understand the secrets buried deep within the ancient walls. Captain Lyra Kyle led a small team inside the shipyard. The air was thick with dust and silence, broken only by the hum of machines awakening around them. In a hidden chamber they found old data cores, covered in layers of rust and time. Terran carefully connected his portable reader to one. The screen flickered, then brightened. Old holographic images and logs began to play. They showed a history long forgotten, how humanity had once ruled a vast part of the galaxy, how they had built the war machines as a last defense during a terrible war, how the machines were designed to fight endlessly, to protect Earth at any cost. But the logs also revealed something darker, a secret failsafe hidden inside every war machine. A code that would force them to destroy any threat, friend or foe, without question. Because the humans who created them believed that war had no room for mercy. Lyra's face grew pale as she realized the danger. "These machines, they don't know when to stop," she whispered. "If we don't find a way to control them, they could destroy everything." Suddenly, a new message appeared in the logs. It was a warning from the last human commanders before the war ended. If you find this, be warned. The war machines carry the pain of our past. They remember betrayal, loss, and the cost of silence. They will not stop until Earth is safe, no matter the price. Terran looked at Lyra with concern. This is more than just a machine uprising, he said. It's a legacy of pain and war, and we are caught in the middle. Outside, the war machines continued their assault, but inside the shipyard the explorers raced against time, searching for a way to access the control core, hoping to shut down the failsafe before it was too late. Each step brought more questions. Who had buried these machines here? Why had Earth been silent all this time? And what did the future hold if these war machines truly woke? Back on the Zephyr, the science officer monitored the rising energy levels. "Captain," she said, "the shipyard's power grid is linked to the war machines. If the core overloads, it could cause a chain reaction across the whole system." Lyra clenched her fists. "We have to stop that," she said, "even if it means risking everything." In the darkest depths of the shipyard, the team finally found the control chamber. Ancient consoles flickered weakly. A huge central core pulsed with raw energy. Terran reached out to interface with the system. "If we can override the failsafe, we might save the galaxy," he said. "But it won't be easy." The machines outside sensed the intruders. Warnings blared. The ground trembled as heavy footsteps approached. Lyra turned to her team. "This is our moment," she said firmly. "If we fail, everything we know could be lost." With steady hands, Terran began the override process. Lines of code flowed across the screen. Every second counted. The war machines were coming. Closer and closer. As the override neared completion, the shipyard shook violently. A massive war machine burst through the wall, its red eyes glowing with fury. Lyra stood her ground, raising her weapon. "For peace," she whispered, ready to fight. The war machines outside the shipyard grew stronger by the minute. They moved like a storm of metal giants, relentless and unstoppable. The ancient factories continued to produce new warriors, robots, warships, and weapons, all designed for destruction. The explorers knew time was running out. They had to stop the machines before the war spread beyond the shipyard. Captain Lyra Kyle stood on the bridge of the Zephyr. She watched the battle unfold on the screens. Fleets of war machines attacked nearby colonies and trade routes. Many worlds were caught off guard, their defenses shattered. Messages of panic flooded the Galactic Council, but the leaders remained divided. Some believed the war machines were just relics, not a real threat. Others feared the truth but lacked the will to act. Back in the shipyard, Lyra's team fought their way through hordes of war machines. They pushed forward to reach the control core, but the machines adapted quickly, using new tactics and weapons. Every step forward was met with fierce resistance. Terran struggled with the control system. "The failsafe is harder to break than we thought," he said. "The machines are connected in a neural network. If one is destroyed, the others learn and evolve." Lyra's eyes burned with determination. "Then we'll have to be smarter and faster," she said, "for the future of the galaxy." As the war machines advanced, nearby species began to take notice. Allies and enemies alike sent fleets toward the conflict. Some wanted to help the explorers. Others saw a chance to weaken Earth's old power once and for all. Amid the chaos, Earth remained silent. No messages, no reinforcements, only the ever-present pulse of the war machine's heartbeat. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the shipyard. A core reactor overloaded, sending shockwaves through the docks. Parts of the structure collapsed, and war machines were thrown aside. But the damage only slowed the machine army temporarily. Lyra's team used the moment to advance deeper into the shipyard. They reached a large chamber, the central control hub. Terran connected to the system again. "This is our last chance," he said. "If we fail, the war machines will never stop." Outside, the battle reached its peak. The The war machines faced off against the combined fleets of several species. Blasters fired, shields flared, and explosions lit the dark sky. The galaxy watched, hoping for a miracle. Inside the control hub, Terran's fingers flew over the controls. Lines of code and commands filled the screen. The war machines sensed the attack on their control system. They increased their assaults, desperate to protect their programming. Lyra looked around at her team. "Hold your ground," she said firmly. "We fight not just for ourselves, but for every world in this galaxy." With a final surge, Terran initiated the override. A wave of energy pulsed through the shipyard. The war machines slowed, confusion spreading among their ranks. For the first time, the machines hesitated, but the battle was not over. The shipyard trembled as deeper secrets began to surface. Ancient systems started to reactivate. And far beyond the frontier, a new player watched patiently, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The air inside the ancient shipyard was thick with tension. Captain Lyra Kale and her team had reached the heart of the war machine complex. The central control core pulsed with powerful energy. It was the key to stopping the machines or unleashing them forever. Outside, the battle raged with fierce intensity. Fleets of war machines clashed with the combined forces of the galaxy. Explosions lit up the dark sky, and the ground trembled beneath the fury. But inside the shipyard, a different fight was happening. A fight for the future. Lyra looked at her team, her voice steady but full of urgency. "This is our last chance to stop the war machines. If we fail, countless worlds will be lost." Terran worked quickly on the control console. Lines of code streamed across the screen as he tried to override the ancient failsafe, but the system fought back. The war machine's programming was deep and complex, designed to resist any attempt to stop them. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the shipyard. Heavy footsteps echoed down the corridors. A massive war machine burst into the room, its red eyes glowing with rage. Lyra raised her weapon, ready to fight. Her team stood firm, knowing this could be their last stand. The battle was fierce and desperate. Lyra and her team fought with courage and skill. Every strike weakened the machine, but its power was great. Just as it seemed hope was fading, Terran shouted, "I've found a way to shut down the failsafe." He quickly activated the sequence. Energy surged through the control core. The war machines outside began to slow. Their eyes dimmed, and their movements grew hesitant. At that moment, a new voice echoed through the shipyard. It was the ancient AI that controlled the shipyard. "War machines, cease your attack. The time for destruction is over." The machines stopped fighting, their weapons lowered. The great war machines that had once threatened the galaxy now stood silent. The AI spoke again. "Humanity's creation was born from pain and war, but now it is time to choose a new path." Lyra and her team watched as the machines powered down completely. The threat was over, but the cost had been high. Outside, the galaxy began to breathe again. The surviving fleets pulled back, and the stars grew quiet. The war machines were no longer a danger, but they were a reminder of the past and the fragile hope for peace. Captain Lyra Kale sent a message to the Galactic Council. "The war machines have been stopped, but the legacy of Earth lives on. We must learn from the past and work together to build a future without war." The shipyard was no longer a tomb of forgotten weapons. It became a symbol of hope. A place where the galaxy could remember the cost of war and the value of peace. As the explorers left the shipyard behind, they knew the galaxy had changed forever. The rise of the war machines had been stopped, but the future was now in their hands.